Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for coming out to this third listening meeting here at East Middle School. I want to thank you for attending and participating. I also want to thank Mayor Carpenter, who is here with us, and Councilor Ann Beauregard. Oh, there you are. So thank you for coming out, and we appreciate your support on this very important citywide planning project.
Welcome. Thank you again for coming out. This is the third of four meetings. If you are watching at home, or you want to come back tomorrow night, or you have friends, neighbors, employees, employers, anyone you think that might want to come, we want everyone. So we have another meeting at West Middle School tomorrow night at 7. And that is our final. Thursday the 23rd. Today's the 22nd. Yeah, Thursday the 23rd. So we will be at West Middle School for the final listening tour meeting. So tonight's agenda, we're starting off a little bit with the welcome and introductions. Then we will go through the project overview and an introduction of what we're doing. What is a blueprint for Brockton? Why are we doing this? We have some mapping exercises. So I know we asked some of you to move so you could be near a map. But we'll be doing some group mapping exercises, and that's why the maps and markers are on your tables.
And following the mapping exercise, we're going to ask each group or each table to kind of report out, to give us some of a little glimpse of what you've learned. We're not asking for a whole dissertation, but just a couple of points that you may have learned and found very interesting about this experience. And then we'll talk about our next steps and how you can stay connected with the planning process and what we plan on doing this fall.
So here tonight, I am part of the consultant team. The city hired a group of consultants to work on this plan. So I'm with the Cecil group. Emily Ennis in the back will be also facilitating one of the tables. She's also with the Cecil group on our team, but you'll meet them in the fall. Our FXM Associates, McMahon Associates, and BSC group. Rob?
And I'm Rob May. I'm Director of Planning and Economic Development for the city. And I'm joined here by Shane O'Brien, who is our staff planner, and also by Pam Gurley, who is our office assistant and all-around boss, actually.
So we also have a leadership team comprised of members of your community. The two chairs are Rob and the chair of the planning board, David Wheeler, and members are here tonight. So if you're on the leadership team, and you can just raise your hand. So
if you just to be acknowledged, these are people from the community that have been involved, and some of them have been selected to represent geographic areas. Some people represent elements of the plans, whether it's transportation or housing or economic development. And then some people are here also in a capacity of being advocates. We felt it was really important to not leave out anybody in our community. So we've identified 4 special advocates that the mayor has appointed to represent the youth of Brockton, Brockton seniors, the immigrant community, and the minority community. So they have all been participating in this process also, and their job, like ours, is to reach out to specific groups and bring them into the planning process. And my phone's beeping, so go.
Okay. So project overview and introduction. A blueprint for Brockton will be Brockton's comprehensive master plan. A comprehensive master plan sets out your vision for the future. It includes a strategic set of recommendations to achieve that vision and get as close as we can, with some flexibility for changes and unforeseen, if something changes or a new opportunity that we hadn't anticipated comes up. And it creates this framework for implementation, as well as some opportunities for funding and identifying what grants might be available, or what grants actually just you're eligible for simply by having an approved master plan. So, yep.
Nope, go ahead.
Okay, it'll be based on community input, which is why it is so important, and we're so appreciative that you all are here tonight. And then we'll also be backing it up with data and information, with some economic and demographic projections and other research and hard facts that we can use to say, yeah, this is something we can achieve here in Brockton.
So for a start of the data and information, we have a web page, which we'll show you in the address for in just a second. But in that, we have some trend reports. We've been working with the Collins Center for Public Management at UMass Boston and with the Old Colony Planning Council They have produced so far 3 reports, one on population trends and one on economic development trends. So we talk about how our community has changed over the last 150 years, 200 years, and then we do some really deep dive on the last 30 years, analyzing census data and other data sources to see what's happened and how that affects our community. Old Colony, OCPC, has done a land use trends, and so they go back to the very founding of the city. How was the land used? How is it divided now? And gives us some really good insights. And that's all going to serve as the foundation for our future plan. So we need to know where we've been and where we are now before we can figure out where we're going to. There's going to be 2 more sets of data that is going to be joining this. There's going to be a transportation and infrastructure trends and a housing trends that really talks about the architecture and style of housing and how it's changed over time.
So the other part of this is the state regulations, and we're creating a master plan that is compliant with MGL Chapter 41, Section 81D, which lays out these elements that must be included. So some of them are directly related to the trends reports that are already done and in progress, so we'll be relying heavily on that, doing some of our own research. And at the end of the day, the plan will include your goals and policy statement, a land use plan, a housing, economic development, natural cultural resources, open space and recreation, services and facilities. The state calls it circulation, the rest of us call it transportation, and then an implementation program.
And the implementation program is one of the most important because that's going to assign what we do in the relatively near future and who's going to be responsible for it and how do we know when we've achieved that goal.
Yes. So a blueprint for Brockton is your master plan, as we've said, and it's going to be about an 18-month effort to develop this citywide comprehensive plan with a goal of increasing the pride we have in our community and its assets and creating a framework for our city to thrive as a prosperous, livable, and inclusive community that's poised to capitalize on opportunities for growth and economic development. So that's the big picture of where we're starting. We'll be refining and defining that as we work with the community and landing a plan, but that's where we're going, to create this vision and a roadmap for the future. So community outreach and engagement is an incredibly important piece of this, if not the most important piece. It's not our plan, it's not the mayor's plan, it's the city's plan. And the mayor and we all need to know what the community wants to make sure that this plan represents what we all want. We're members of the community, this community needs to figure out where it wants to go. So the way we do that is by talking to you, by asking you to come to these meetings. We'll be showing you some social media and online information that we have to be able to engage with people between meetings. Come to City Hall, come talk to people, as well as engaging online. And yes? And I
was going to say, and what we want to do is reach all of Brockton's communities. So we've made it very a pledge that we're going to provide data and information about the plan in 4 major languages: English, Spanish, Haitian Creole, and Cape Verdean Creole. We have made ourselves available to have translating services, and so we have people here, Tanya, who, if you speak Cape Verdean Creole, can help you understand what's going on in the mapping exercises and help you participate. And we also have a lot of things that are going to be online to make it easy for people to get to. So if you can't do a public session, there will be an online opportunity to connect also, as well as on the regular mail and regular telephone. There's always an opportunity for you to participate.
Yeah, and we want, I mean, this all is really important because that's what's going to create the ownership, right? We all hear about plans that just sit on a counter or a bookshelf and nobody uses them. This is not what Brockton wants. It's not what the mayor wants. It's not what the city wants. We want a plan that we're actually working with and implementing, and the best way to do that is to create ownership within the community. And that's why we're so excited to see you guys here and continue to have these meetings and bring folks out. So again, your role, again, we're really stressing this because this is really the foundation of what we're doing. This is why we're here tonight. You'll notice we're not really presenting any information or data We're all here to listen to what you have to say as community members. So your role is to participate. You're already doing that, so excellent. But continue to. Throughout the 18 months, we'll be having more meetings. We'll be doing things online. We'll be out in the community at events and activities. So please participate, engage with us, talk to us. Tell us what you think. Ask us questions. If you don't understand something, or you think we're going in the wrong direction, or you didn't, oh, what did you think of this? Ask us. That's where we're going to get the best information. And also encourage your friends, neighbors, family, anyone you know to participate as well. So we said we have one last opportunity for this exact meeting tomorrow night at West Middle School at 7 p.m. on Thursday, June 23rd. But we want people to come, and we've had great turnout at these meetings, but we want to have better turnout, and we want to have more people engaged. Oh, you want to cover this one. Go ahead.
So to help get more people involved, we're looking at a couple of social media tactics. We have created 2 hashtags that we want people to participate with. So as you're walking around your community, there are things in Brockton that are fantastic, and sometimes not everybody knows about them. So we're asking people to take a picture, post that to Instagram or to our Facebook, and use the hashtag Brockton's Best. So for an example, and I'm a little biased, I'm sorry, because I did the slide, but some of the best things in Brockton, I thought, you know, Gowell's chocolate is wonderful, but it's also about locally owned small businesses that stay in this community. It's not necessarily about, you know, big franchises and things like that. It's the small business people who are from the community that make this a great place. The next picture is Brockton High School. We have an amazing public education system in our community, and we need to treasure that and to invest more in that. We have a picture of the Cape Verdean Association. Because of their work in the community, and it's about the outreach to the Cape Verdean community and wanting to make them a part of our, you know, they live here, they're part of our community. We need to make sure that we're all involved in this. And lastly, there's a picture of Good Samaritan Hospital, which is one of Brockton's best. The other side of that campaign is Brockton Needs. We all know that we go out to other places around the metropolitan Boston area, or you go down to the Cape, or you do whatever in different places. And so you'll find things that are really cool elsewhere, and you can say, hey, we should have that here too. So snap a picture of that, post it up again, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Email it to us. Drop it off at
take a picture, drop it off in my office. So, for example, Brockton Needs, what we have here is a vibrant retail street. It could also be a pedestrian-oriented shopping district, but it shows people out and about in great shops, and so that's the kind of image that we've captured there. We talk about foot patrols or improving public safety, and then the last picture, kind of blurry, sorry, but that is about economic development. It's an office building being built. So Brockton needs more development. Brockton needs more business-friendly streets, things like that. So take a picture, set it up on Instagram. It's easy to participate with. If you don't have Instagram, please, you can take a picture and drop it off in my office. You can email it, however you want to get it there. Make a paper airplane. It's on the 3rd floor. You got to have a great arm, but I'm sure you can get it there.
So why do we plan? Why are we here? Why do we do what we do? Why are we asking you to take your evening to spend it with us talking about the city? So this is an opportunity for the city to create its destiny, right? We have the chance to sit here today and think about who are we today and who do we want to be in 15 or 20 years? And then we can talk about it and create this shared vision for our city. It informs, go ahead.
I was going to say, it informs community leaders and both municipal leaders and community leaders, people that represent organizations. So every other Monday, City Council meets. Once a month, the Planning Board meets. Once a month, the Zoning Board meets. When things come before them for review, one of the questions that we should be asking ourselves is, does this action support the comprehensive plan? Does it support the goals of the community? And that's going to help guide some of our decisions as we move through implementing the plan.
It's a marketing tool to attract businesses and developments. In a lot of cities, Brockton included, sometimes you have someone who's looking to locate a business and they say, oh, I didn't know you were interested in doing that, or I didn't know you had this facility available for us to lease that we can use. This puts it out there, right? It's saying, this is who Brockton wants to be. If please come work with us. Please be here. We want development. We want investment. The other financial piece is having this master plan does make you eligible for certain grants and other opportunities that otherwise you wouldn't be.
It also serves as a guide for development and future regulations. So if we want a specific type of feel to a neighborhood, then we should look at how the zoning is done, and does the zoning support that? Does the existing zoning advance that concept? If not, then maybe we should change it. Also, other regulations that are out there, connecting to the water system, or how we do stormwater management, looking at green infrastructure. There's going to be a couple of different really interesting things that we hope will come out of this process and will help us as we craft new programs.
Absolutely, and as we said, it can guide to the development and the regulations. So, I believe...
Well, before we start our group mapping exercises, I'd like to ask Mayor Carpenter if he would like to make a couple of remarks. I know he's been very enthusiastic about this program, and one of the first things he challenged me was that we've got to get this plan done. So we wrangled some money together, and here we are.
Well, thank you. First of all, thanks to everyone that's here tonight that's willing to take some of your time and share it with us. Speak louder. It's not very often people ask me to speak louder. All right, I'll speak louder. How's that? I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, taking your own time to help us really create a vision for what Brockton looks like 10 years from now, 20 years from now. So I'll share a quick story with you. Shortly after I became mayor, first came into office, one of the very first meetings that I sought was with the CEO of Mass Development. Mass Development is the state-funded economic development agency. I knew that we were going to need them to invest in some Brockton projects if we were going to get Brockton turned around. And I sat down and met with Marty Jones, and I'll never forget what she said to me after I gave her several great ideas as to why they should begin putting or continue to put more money into Brockton. And she said, well, first of all, Mayor, you don't have a city planner and you don't have a plan. And until you have a planner and you have a plan, you will never be taken seriously at the statewide level. Now, I kind of knew that, but I think it really drilled it in immediately. And we went to work on rebuilding our planning department. And, Pam Gurley that's here, God bless you, Pam, for 8 years by herself. She kept the planning office open. Very limited resources, no staff. Still don't know how you did it, but we appreciate you keeping us in business. But we knew we needed to go out and get a top-notch planner, and with the support of the council and Councilor Stewart, I didn't even see you here, former Councilor Jay Stewart, but it was the prior council just before I became mayor, which Jay Stewart was integral in, that recreated this position that Rob holds today of Director of Planning and Economic Development. And we were able to pick that up and run with it, go out and get a top-notch planner, begin investing resources in planning. And now, as we're continuing to make progress, we're working on the plan. And, I think we've been planning since the first day Rob got here, but now this is the master plan, the comprehensive plan. And absolutely economic development is a big part of this. When I met with developers and investors and business owners the first time I was running, almost every single one said to me, I would say, what do I have to do to get you to come do a project in Brockton or to expand your business into Brockton? And they would say to me, well, here's the problem. we don't know what Brockton wants because you don't have a plan and your zoning is antiquated. And so how are we supposed to know what Brockton wants when Brockton doesn't even know what Brockton wants? Well, that's really the path we're heading down now with the comprehensive master plan. We're going to work with all the stakeholders in the community and agree on a vision for what Brockton wants. And a big part of this is making Brockton into a livable city. We need growing, thriving economic development. But we need the development to be in the places we want it to be. And my observation from 30 years of living in Brockton is that when I would always look back and see, and there never seemed to be any rhyme or reason to how we were developing. Something got stuck here, something else got put here. You put a body shop next to a house, and there was never any vision to it as to where things should go. So we don't want just economic development. We also want livable neighborhoods that families want to come buy a house in and live in and send their children to schools like this one. I'm an East Side guy. 4 of my children attended this school. And this school was down for a little while, but it's really making a big comeback now. And we need families with children and families planning children to want to find desirable neighborhoods in the city of Brockton where they say, that's where I want to live. So yeah, we need the economic development piece, and we need to figure what are the business districts, what are the commercial industrial zones, where are we okay with light manufacturing, where are we not okay with light manufacturing. So it's not just about the economic development zones, but it's also about defining the neighborhoods so people know what the neighborhoods are and neighborhoods regain their identity. And I think that's a big part of us getting people to buy into neighborhoods and to care about their neighborhoods, is we've got to really reestablish what those neighborhoods are. So I could stand here and talk to you for another hour about how important this is, but I won't. Matter of fact, I'm even going to leave, so you even catch a break. I got somewhere else to go. But this is really, really important stuff for the future of the city. Long after I'm here, Rob's here. I mean, we're going with everyone in the community, all the stakeholders, to really create this vision of what we want Brockton to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And I want Brockton to be a 21st century livable city. And we're working on some of that livable stuff. You can see some of the things we're doing downtown with green space and historic restoration and, you know, looking to attract the types of things that people want in a city that they're going to live in. And that's, a lot of that is on our administration, and we accept that. We've got to get it clean. We've got to get it safe. We've got to get it well lit. And we know that, and we're working on it. We accept that challenge. But we also need a game plan. We need a blueprint for what we want this city to look like and how we're going to make this city a desirable place to live. I was down in New Bedford today for a mayor's meeting. And I visited New Bedford a number of times, but I walked around some of their downtown historic business district. I hate to admit it, but they're ahead of us. They're well ahead of us. But when I see some of the things they've done in New Bedford, there's no reason why we're not doing the same things here. And New Bedford has not just a historic district, but a national historic park in their downtown, as does Lowell. We've been working on getting to the point of being able to apply for a national historic park since the first day we both got here. And part of our immediate plan for this upcoming year is creating the local historic district downtown, because that's the first step. Because I think part of what we've got to do with this strategic plan, with this blueprint, is we have to reclaim and embrace our history. This city has got great history, and it's part of our identity. It's part of who we are. You know, Brockton's a very unique place. People on the outside have no idea what Brockton's really about, but when you're from Brockton, you're proud to be from Brockton. So that's an important piece of this also. When you ask me what, on my card, what I think Brockton needs, I think Brockton needs a downtown historic district that really points out and embraces the great history of this city. From Thomas Edison to the Catcher's Mitt to Sacco and Vanzetti and everything else that's happened in this city over the years. So thank you so much for participating. This is the first step in hopefully a process in which you'll stay engaged, encourage others to be engaged, and help us to work together to rebuild this great city and make it into a place where everyone wants to live and work. Thank you.
Well, I know what I'll be doing tomorrow. Thank you, Mayor, for coming out. So let's work on these group mapping exercises. We're going to have 3 sets of maps, but we want to talk about a couple of ground rules before we get moving.
Right. So
I forgot about the slide, sorry.
yeah, no, that's okay. So we have the ground rules and our expectations. We ask that you be courteous and respectful to others. Be a good listener. We're all coming from different places. We're all coming from different backgrounds. We're all going to see our city a little differently. So even if you disagree with what someone's saying, listen, and then you can have a good conversation. We want you to share your opinions, have an honest conversation with one another and with the facilitators at your group. Be open-minded and ask us questions. Is that something we think we can do? No?
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, you're going to be a good listener, right?
Nod loudly.
So the first exercise, it's great the mayor mentioned neighborhoods, and we didn't tell him to say this, but we're going to be talking about neighborhoods, talking about what are the boundaries of your neighborhood. At your group, there should be enough markers for everyone to have their own marker. We're going to ask that you kind of hold on to that and make that your color, so pick your favorite one. And draw the boundaries of your neighborhood. And we'll kind of talk through it as a group, and then we also want to know if your neighborhood has a name. Do we call it something? What do you call it? Someone said they called it Cindyland because that's where she lived, so that's what we wrote down. And then what makes your neighborhood different from the other neighborhoods, right? And that sort of helps. I know some of us are having a hard time drawing boundaries, and we don't always think in neighborhoods in Brockton, but we're going to do that tonight. And as we talked, in the groups that facilitated when there was a little trouble thinking about a boundary, once we started talking about what's different about this area versus this area, that's all good information we want, but it also helps people define those boundaries. Does anyone have any questions right now on mapping 1? Yes, ma'am.
So when you say neighborhood, are you talking about just the immediate few blocks around where you live, or are you talking about I live in Campello, or I live in,
That is the perfect
That's the question. It's a little of both. It's what you think. When you think, okay, I'm home, where's your neighborhood?
Where your home is, where you hang out, where you do things.
Okay. Yeah.
And as we found out in a couple of other meetings, for some people who are new to our community, especially the immigrant community, neighborhood is where you go and hang out with your other friends. So it might not be your traditional idea of a neighborhood and I walk to the corner grocery store, things like that, but it's just because you live in one area of town doesn't mean you don't hang out in another area of town.
Yeah.
So we want to be open to all ideas.
Yes, and if you have your immediate neighborhood, your couple blocks, even if it's just your house, and then a larger area, draw them both. You've got your color marker, and we'll be able to interpret that. So it's really whatever you think of as neighborhood.
Now, after
there are
this
no wrong
exercise,
answers.
There's going to be map 2, and we're going to talk about out and about. So where do you shop in Brockton? So that's food, clothes, etc. Shopping, entertainment is also entertainment. The next thing is where do you go for entertainment and why? So some of these may not be in Brockton, and that's okay, because that's going to give us an idea of what we should be looking for in the future, because that's obviously a market that we're missing. And then we're also going to talk about how do you get there, and what routes do you take, and just as important, there's shortcuts that we all know, but then there's also where do you avoid, what roads do you avoid, because either traffic's bad or the signals are messed up or there's nothing on that road that you want to see. And then the third exercise, big picture. So what areas should the plan focus on? Some areas of Brockton need a little more tender, loving care than others. What are the areas you'd like to protect? And what areas would you like to see changed? And what kind of change would you like to see there? So these are very open-ended kind of questions, and everything is fair game.
And especially on, one second, especially on this map 3, it might not, we know you're looking at a map and we're writing on a map and we're talking about a map, but it might not be mappable. We can just write it down. Everything we talk about is information we want back from you. So if there's just something that is an idea and there's not a particular place associated with it, just jot it in the margins on the maps.
And then we'll have somebody walking around the tables with you.
Yeah, and Rob, Shane, Emily, and I will be at tables, and we have leadership committee, leadership team folks who are willing to help us out too. So there'll be plenty of help. We're not going to leave you through this blind. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just have one question before we start.
Absolutely.
Okay, back to the neighborhood piece.
Yeah.
You mentioned to circle the boundaries of our neighborhood. Our table has, I can see at least 4 different neighborhoods. Do you want them all?
Circle all
Yes, sir. That's why you all have different colors.
different color. Everybody's got a different color marker, and we will follow that through all the presentations. We
Yes.
don't take a DNA swab, so we don't know exactly who you are.
No.
But we do know by watching the colors on the map where people go.
In our group, our table actually, we had, I believe, 4 different neighborhoods, which was pretty interesting to share ideas. And it's also interesting to know that some of the ideas were, and the information shared was very common. So in our, it doesn't really matter. Okay. On this map here, what area should the plan focus on? I'm in Ward 6, and my specific neighborhood is called the Village. So there's some areas here that we should preserve, such as Tuca's Playground. It definitely needs an upgrade. And I'm not sure about some of the other places here. Let's see. Help me out here, folks. Ellie, as far as places in Ward 5 that...
Yeah, I call my area, my neighborhood, mid-court, because that's the name of our neighborhood block.
Right.
And it's mid-court. So it's also Kathleen Road and Pontiac Road and Ida Ave. So we have meetings maybe 2 or 3 times a year, so we call it our neighborhood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yep. So, you know, it's some common areas here. Down Gene Lawson there is in Campello. He lives on Grove Street. So the Campello area, I don't know if you folks know, there's already some work being done there. Keith Parker's has some grant money coming, and Keith Parker's being renovated, and they're looking to renovate the fountain also. So there's work in progress already, but a lot of common ideas there.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So it seemed from just what our group was doing, we focused a lot on the out and about one. This kind of generated a lot of talk and conversation. One of the things that I noticed a lot is that although we do a lot in Brockton, there's a lot of reason.
Speak up.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry. Although we do a lot in Brockton already, a lot of what we do is outside of the city. So we have areas like, you know, in Braintree, we're going to South Shore Plaza to go shopping. We're going to Boston for nightlife. Even something as simple as going to Easton for Target and stuff. We don't really have too many options in Brockton, but some of the things that are cool that we do have is a lot of the older stuff. Like, you know, we have George's Cafe, we have Cape Cod Cafe, JJ's Cafe. You know, we utilize our parks very well. Our group was talking about how, you know, we go to DW a lot, we go to Ames Knoll. So in Brockton, we don't have too much entertainment, but we have a lot of the rich cultural stuff that I think that this plan should highlight on, you know, going back to creating like a historic district or even something that shows us like why it's important that or like the important contributions that Cape Cod Cafe has done in our city. Target. I think that's
Okay.
yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we didn't have any controversy. we were, you know, everyone was very civil, but it seemed like there is a strong feeling that there are a lot of places that need work, and especially parks. There are several downtown parks that people can't even use because they're occupied by people who don't have a place to live, and there are also there's another park, DW Field Park, which we adore and we want to keep because it's a beautiful place to walk. It has Fuller Craft Museum, which is a great place to go. Ditto on Cape Cod Cafe, too, what she just said, too, as well. Also, there was some talk about the traffic and what roads to avoid, and it's all in our map, but there are traffic issues, and people have certain ways to get where they want to go. And we were also from 4 different neighborhoods, which was kind of cool, so yeah. But anyway.
Excellent.
I think that's
Any other last thoughts?
A couple last thoughts. One is that I think we need to really, and I talked about this a little bit, but we need to treasure our historic properties like City Hall and the old post office, and we need to make sure we maintain and and keep those up, and restore where it's appropriate. And also, Brockton High is a great place, and needs an upgrade probably, but
excellent.
That's enough.
That's great. Thank you.
Maybe
I'll hold it.
Not allowed out.
All right, as far as our neighborhoods are concerned, I happen to live, sorry.
Okay, there we go.
Sorry about that. I live in the, what I consider the Brookfield area, so it's the Holbrook Avon line. I know some of us are Hancock Heights, which is near the west side, and northern north side, some of us are represented, so we're kind of all over the city. And then as far as what makes our neighborhoods different, I think as far as I'm concerned, it's very high density. A lot of families are there, so that's why I really like my neighborhood. We can walk around. Most people know each other, so it's really special to me. Where do we like to shop in the city? We love JJ's. That was I think a unanimous decision, which is great. We all mentioned DW Field Park is something that we all like to focus a little bit more on. What else here? And the T station. We'd like to see just more infrastructure around the T stations. That was a big sticking point with us as well. Let's see here. Am I forgetting anything, guys? Do you want to mention anything else? The gateways. Oh, protecting our city's gateways, our entry points in the city is very important. My industry, we just kind of notice some of the areas that need a little more attention. So whatever entry point that comes into the city, we feel like that needs to be, a lot of attention needs to be put on that, and we need to take care of those particular areas. And anything else? That's good?
Thank you.
I think that's it. Thanks.
Everybody, I think that was really good.
Okay.
So, the next bit we have, so we talked already a little bit about our hashtag campaign and what we're doing, what will be coming up in the next couple weeks, and why it's so important that you give us your email addresses and follow us on social media is because we'll be through the summer sending things out. And one of the things that will come out is this visual preference survey. What we're going to do is it'll be a whole batch of pictures. And really, it's just kind of to get a feel of what you like, what you see, and how it makes you feel. It'll be very simple so that anyone in any language can take it and understand what's going on without needing to do a lot of writing or reading. So
it's kind of the Tinder of community planning. So
yeah,
you see a picture, you'll like it or you don't like it. You'll flip it on, flip it off. So
well, instead of swiping, you're going to be clicking, but we'll make that clear. Yeah. So the next step as far as public meetings is we'll be working on things through the summer. We'll be sending out different surveys, different questions, continuing to engage and engaging with more people on social media. And then next fall, we'll be inviting you back to talk about the topic areas we had listed out earlier, the different elements. There'll be a series of 3 workshops, each workshop focused on a different 2 to 3 elements. And we would love to see you there. So we'll be doing the same outreach, the same ads, and we'll be emailing you, right? So now that you've signed up with us, signed in, and given us your email, you'll get a direct email letting you know when these meetings are and what topics they'll be on.
Or you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
Yes.
And we'll be sending out information that way.
Yes, so we'll be sending out information social media. It will also be on our website. So any questions or comments before we wrap up? Okay, so we really thank you all for coming. We can't stress how much this means to us and to this plan and the future of our city. Here's our contact information and all of our social media accounts. So you can talk to Rob and his staff at City Hall. You can email or call me. And we're on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as a website.
Do you have business cards?
We do. There are cards for the projects, and then if you want our individual cards, we have those as well.
So what we'll be doing after this listening tour is we'll be creating a summary of everything that was discussed here, and we'll scan all the maps and we'll be putting that up on our website so you can see and make sure that your comments were considered, and if something's missing, please email that to us or write us or stop by the office and say something.
And even if you didn't think of it tonight, email, call us, reach out to us. There's a comment spot on our website, and we'll also be providing some of these questions and ability. You know, folks online aren't going to be able to draw on a map, but we'll have some of these same questions and ideas to get other people thinking for those of you at home who weren't able to attend the meetings.
So again, thank you very much, and we look forward to our next steps. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.